sun is glorious.
Do you believe in fairies? I do, but let me explain. I believe each plant has a spirit, and like humans, a personality. This energy is often expressed through story and drawings, and fairies are that story. Pictures of these little wee ones helps us to get to know the plant realm, and they are truly magical indeed.
Today we're going to be looking at some seasonal winter fairy, flower fairies of the winter through the work of Cicely Mary Barker and these glorious little books, which I will link below.
Cicely Mary Barker lived from 1895 to 1973. She was an English illustrator from Surrey and created these 4 fairy seasonally themed books, and many more books related to fairies. She also created Christian-themed books, such as the Children's Book of Hymns. Overall, she was an illustrator, a watercolor artist, and a poet. During the early 20th century, fairies became popular in literature, with Peter Pan and other big novels released, along with the Cottonleaf fairy photos, a group of photos depicting real fairies, later proven to be fakes. I love Cicely's work, and it's her poetry that I find most revealing, not about fairies at all, but about the nature of each individual plant. Because Cicely was using a popular theme, it attracted many to her work, but she was not a believer in fairies and always claimed her work was in play. And I would say I agree with her in that fairies are symbolism. They are the story or the fairy tale to explain to the children the essence of nature. And while that doesn't stop me at all from talking to the fairies and plants themselves and living into that fantasy, here we go with some beautiful poetry related to winter. Right now I am in deep relationship with Nettle. There's video coming up about that. It'll probably be probably 2 or 3 weeks before I present that work, the work I've been doing with Nettle, and also just the general work I've been doing with documentation and going through the documentation process of coming into relationship with plants. But right now, I'm really in relationship with Nettle. So I wanted to read this, The Dead Nettle Fairy, the song of the dead nettle fairy. Through sun and rain, the country lane, the field, the road are my abode. Though leaf and bud be splashed with mud, who cares? Not I. I see the sky, the kindly sun, the wayward fun of tramping folk who smoke and joke. The barns who heed my dusty weed, no sting have I to make them cry. And truth to tell, they love me well. My brothers, white and yellow bright, are finer chaps than I perhaps. Who cares? Not I. So now, goodbye. I just love that. That's so Nettle.